our training days are so different between intensity days, recoups, and long rides that it's not the same type of fueling.
From having an off day to having intervals to having an endurance day
Yeah.
and all the in between, it's so different, right?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fuelin Sessions. I'm your host, Scott Tyndall, and today I have the pleasure of having two very special athletes joining me to talk about Unbound Gravel 2025. The two individuals, they're not professional athletes, yet they have been competing and completing some very remarkable races due to fairly remarkable circumstances. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome David Lutzy and Yannick Banville to Fuelin Session. Guys, welcome.
Hi, thank
Hey,
you. Yeah, thank you
thank
for
you.
having us on the podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining me. And first and foremost, thank you for being part of Fuelin. It's been super exciting seeing your journey in terms of nutrition, your health, and I guess above all, your performance in Unbound Gravel 2025, which was pretty spectacular, I think, especially given that, do you consider yourselves normal gravel cyclists? Probably not, given your medical condition, David. And I think, what would be really good, a lot of people will know who you are, who know the space, but there will be some people who don't. Why don't we start, David, with you just giving a brief bio, I guess, of who you are and why we're talking about you today.
Sure. So, like Scott was saying, I'm a road and gravel cyclist. I race in the masters category on the road, and I'm beginning my journey on gravel racing just this year. Yeah. So that's
Perfect.
basically it. Yeah.
Okay. And Yannick, who are you and how do you know David?
Yeah. So I'm Yannick. I've known David. We've known each other for almost 5 years now. I've always ridden more a bit on the road, ridden and raced there. And yeah, in the last few years, I've gotten a gravel bike and kind of more and more gravel, kind of off road. Yeah, through the last year, yeah, I've had the great pleasure to be able to guide David through some pretty great rides and races that we'll chat about. And yeah.
So you mentioned guiding, and I guess
Mhm.
some of the listeners might be like, "Well, why do you have to guide?" So, David, why don't you just give us a bit of understanding of what your medical condition is and when it started happening and what it affects?
Yeah. So about 25 years ago, I started losing my eyesight on my left eye. It was stable for a lot of years, for all that time. Last year started going down again, very fairly quickly. So multiple surgeries last summer. At the end of the day, I lost 90% of my eyesight on my left eye. And I'm losing sharpness in my vision for both eyes. The left eyes I can't really see, so it doesn't matter. But on my right eye, I'm losing a lot of sharpness in the vision due to cornea dystrophy on top of everything else that's happening. So to race my bike in gravel efficiently and be safe about it, I need Yannick to guide me through all the obstacles and what's ahead on a gravel race.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Just, I don't think you said it, but can you just detail what the condition was?
Mhm.
Histoplasmosis is my
Yeah,
understanding. Can you detail what that is and why you developed it or why you picked it up?
it started about 25 years ago. It's histoplasmosis. It's a spore that you get from you. It's airborne. So I contracted it rock climbing in southeast U.S., so in Tennessee. So it attacked my retina on my left eye. They operated then twice, 25 years ago. Didn't resolve the problem, so they had to burn my macula, a part of my central vision, with a laser to stop it from spreading. So it was stable all those years. So last year, what happened is fluid got behind my retina, and the whole thing detached last year during a bike race. Uh, and I had multiple operations, so 2 operations last year to try to fix it. Right now, the condition is that we're hoping to maintain the eye in place. Um, Nothing can be done to restore vision on the left eye.
Yeah, I imagine when you had the fluid, was that what they call central serous retina, CSR? Did they have that when you were losing,
No,
when you had the fluid behind?
it's just it's just
Yeah.
really fluid that goes through. So there was a tear in the retina, so fluid went through it and just detached the whole thing. So because of that, I can't see on my left eye. So I have no depth perception, and yeah.
It's
That's the hardest part.
it's something I've never actually talked to you about, but I actually contracted I had a virus, adenovirus. I got off a plane flight from Canada actually back to Australia, and they didn't know what was happening, and I ended up in A&E multiple times, and it wasn't until I saw a neuro-ophthalmologist here
Mhm.
that they actually got a good understanding of it. And by that stage, I'd lost 25% of my
Mhm.
upper quadrant in my right eye. So I actually don't have any peripheral vision through there. I've never actually said that to you, but
Yeah.
I can appreciate and empathize with you just how distressing it. I mean, yours has been ongoing for a long time. So I can
Yeah.
imagine it's been,
Mhm.
and when you lose your sight, like, and especially in the acute phase, it is quite distressing, isn't it? Like, you realize how important sight is to you as a sense.
It is. I don't think we really grasp everything that we understand through our eyes
Mm.
until something happens and you can't see anymore. Um, so it's hard to describe what happens when suddenly you start not seeing on one side, or um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and adapting to all those small things that you do in your life. Like if you have no depth perception, just setting your glass of water on the table, you can overshoot the glass and hit the table, or you undershoot and it just falls when you let it go. You start writing and you're not on a piece of paper, or you
Yeah.
have to redo it again. So it's all those small things, but it all translates to how do I adapt my day to day and my bike riding and my racing and the gravel riding, and
Well,
yeah,
I mean, simple things like getting handed a plate, for instance. Yannick was
exactly.
telling that funny story
Yeah.
about, trying to hand you a plate and you didn't even know you didn't have the plate in your hand.
No,
I mean, you're talking
Mm.
about such basic things like putting a glass of water on a table or writing on a piece of paper. But then you guys are going and doing Unbound Gravel 2025 together, and people are probably thinking, well, hold on, how the hell do you go and do that race if you're
mhm,
But why not?
blind? Well, and why not? And I think that's the really cool
Exactly.
thing about the story. Well, why don't we talk about that race? Like,
mhm.
what is Unbound Gravel 2025 for those who maybe don't know what the race is? David, do you want to just give us an outline on what the race
Unbound,
is?
and Yannick, feel free to add stuff to it.
Yeah.
Unbound is the epiphany of gravel racing. It's one of the first organized gravel races. Started in 2006. 34 people were there in Emporia, Kansas for that race. And last year, all categories and distances combined is 5,000 cyclists that participate in that race yearly. It's a takeover of this small town. This small Emporia, Kansas, for one week becomes Unbound. Everything is, you go to the grocery store, there's a big world map, you can pin where you're from. You go to convenience store, people are there, hey, you doing Unbound? You're, so it's a takeover of the small town. So it's a
For a
200.
triathlete, yeah.
Yeah,
For a triathlete, it's Kona. For a
Okay.
marathoner, it's Boston.
Yeah.
For an off-road cyclist, it's Unbound.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
exactly.
that paints a really clear picture of
Hmm.
just how
There's
impressive and
nothing
important this race is to gravel cycling.
Exactly.
exactly.
And if we take just road cycling, it's Paris Roubaix. You know, someone, if you do Unbound, you do Paris Roubaix. It's like it's a mythical race. So it's 200 miles, so 320
Kilometers. Yeah.
kilometers, about 3,000 meters of climbing for this year on the course we had. So it's a long and grueling race. You go through all the types of gravel that you can find, all the types of obstacles because it's so long. You get some mud, you get water, we went through a creek. We had a lot of mud, dry, flat roads, and gnarly, um, big chunks of gravel, smaller gravel. Everything's there in that 320 kilometer race. Um, and
Yeah. Awesome.
it's the weather. You're in Kansas. There are no trees, no shade. You're full sunlight. It's 36 degrees, and you're racing your bike.
Yeah.
There's
It's
and
not
on
easy.
Yeah, and on gravel, you can't just. It's not on like a road bike or a road race where you can coast or let yourself go. Gravel, you stop pedaling, you stop.
Yeah.
So it's
No.
tension on the chain for the whole race. So yeah.
And with this, like, what were you guys, before we get to actually what you did achieve, what were you hoping to achieve together as guide and racing partners?
Mhm. Our first goal was to finish the race.
Probably to finish.
Just to, just to finish the race. We were happy just to be there, just to start the race, and hoping to finish it without without technical difficulties or health difficulties. Um, that was our first objective when we started. Um, then yeah,
Yeah, and for me, my first objective, I think, with the role that I had was just safety, right? With with David was just to keep him safe. And that's where at the beginning it's very easy, but when you're 10 and a half hours in, 35 degrees weather, that's when you things get a bit trickier.
because of all of my problem with depth perception, I had to follow Yannick through every obstacle because I can't see if the hole is really deep, the rock, how big is it, the gutter, where is it exactly. So I had to follow Yannick's back wheel all day, and by you know quarter of an inch, just to follow his every move. And we devised a communication protocol to make sure that I was safe and to make sure that he was safe as well, because he can't let go of the handlebars anytime, you know. So he has to think of his safety first.
For
Yeah,
sure. And before we get into the details of sort of the actual Unbound race and how you manage
yeah,
that, why don't we just take a little step back and we talked about your condition briefly,
yeah.
um, and then sort of your role, Yannick, as the guide. Like prior, and obviously you came on, you reached out to us. I guess one of the things that I was interested in, obviously it was a unique situation, but why did you reach out to us at Fuelin? What was the reason sort of that you were interested in nutrition?
Well, we're two very structured individuals in life and in our planning and in our training and everything, and we didn't have that structure in our nutrition. We knew we ate well, but how well, how efficiently, were we optimizing our fueling? And we weren't sure. We knew we were off somewhere. We knew there was something wrong. There's some tweaking to do, and we needed long-term help or day-to-day help on maintaining that from about 6 months before Unbound to right to the race.
Yeah.
Um,
What had been your previous experience though? Like you'd done races before,
yeah.
hadn't you? And training building up to that. Had you had learnings from that? Is that one of the like what was your experience as, working together in relation to nutrition and your training and your races? Were you identifying particular areas where you felt you needed help?
We worked with nutritionists a lot in the past, and nutritionists are great. We'll make a plan and we'll execute the plan. Um, so that gave us a lot of knowledge on what we could do. We felt we needed more. We felt we needed more guidance on a regular basis. Um,
And I think the key too is also like working with nutritionists and with nutrition people in the past. It's great, but really optimizing it around training, I think it's a whole different thing, right? What do we do when we've got a 6 hour ride to do tomorrow? Uh, Eat pasta, right? How much, when, there's that whole science, I think, to it. And that's when really kind of when we found the app is like, wait, like that's going to connect to our training peaks and everything, like tell us exactly what and when. Wait, like that's exactly it, right? We know we know the what, but we don't necessarily know the when, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's when and I think David, you would agree, right? That we know it's carb heavy, this and that, but the when is always that piece of the puzzle that is hard to find, right? Yes, you can try, right, like the carb loads and stuff with races, but it's really hard to with your day-to-day life.
mhm.
And I think that's where fueling kind of brought that piece of the puzzle that explained the when. Yeah.
Yep. Had you, in your previous experience, and I imagine your previous experience was what, a lot of PDFs? Was that it? Pretty static
Mhm.
sort of documentation where you had to apply that knowledge to your own plan. Was that something that you wanted to sort of elevate? Would that
Hmm.
be because it took a lot of effort? Would that be
Yeah.
correct? In sort of you were responsible for having to do it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And when you start talking to a nutritionist, no matter how good they are, if you talk to them about intensity factor, your IF factor for a training, or your TSS for a day, or it just goes beyond what most nutritionists can handle as information to adapt the plan uh, the plan in a short term, even not even in
Yeah.
long term, but in a short term. And our training days are so different with between intensity days, recoups, and and long rides that it's not the same type of fueling.
Yeah. From having an off day to having intervals to having an endurance day
Yeah.
and all the in between, it's so different, right? It's not
Yeah,
just eat a bit more, eat a bit less. It's like, yeah, but
eat
it's
Well,
not
it's
that
the
simple.
it's the specificity of it, isn't it? I guess is
Exactly.
and it's not something that we don't hear quite frequently. To be honest, I think there is a lot of good nutrition information out there, and there's
sure.
obviously excellent nutritionists and dietitians. I think I guess where we're trying to really do a great job here is be specialists and
Mhm.
specialists in endurance, performance, nutrition.
Yeah.
And as you said, like something like Training Peaks, if we've got your intensity factor there, we can map that exactly to what the fuel amount, the fuel type should be for that particular session, whether it's a bike, whether it's a cross training session, a swim, a run, whatever it is you guys are doing. So, yeah, it's. I mean, look, as you've seen, it can be a very effective system and a very powerful system, and hopefully makes life a little bit easier for you as an athlete. Were you surprised? Like, you obviously are both two very intelligent individuals as well. Were you, once you started using Fuelin, did you have any sort of aha moments of like, oh God, we were under fueling with carbs in particular sessions, or GO on a day-to-day basis, I was missing the mark with things like protein? What were some of the key takeaways that you sort of, from working in that static PDF world to having a dynamic sort of personalized plan that would change based on your training? What were some of those key takeaways?
I think that within the first few days, Yannick and I were talking. We said, "Okay, we don't eat enough. We don't eat enough protein." It's like that was the first thing that came. You know,
were you guys comparing? Were you guys sort of going, "Oh, what have you got, and what have I got?"
Yeah,
and
we still do. Yeah.
We still do.
Are you similar weights?
About the same.
You're similar sort of body composition and weights and things like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what was that moment like? Like, if you looked at it, like in terms of amounts, are we talking 50% under, sort of 25% under from an estimation?
30, 40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's quite a shift too, isn't it? It's quite a shift in your eating habits to suddenly go, okay, I need to be purposeful and mindful of the amount of protein I'm actually consuming in every meal in order to hit. I think for you guys, you were always up around 2.5 grams per kilo body weight.
Yeah, because you read a lot of stuff for endurance athlete, and they say 1 gram per kilo. Or
that's what you're reading? 1 gram per kilo, or 1 gram
that's
per
what
pound?
I used to read.
Yeah.
1 gram per kilo, yeah.
I mean,
but when we made the switch, it's more like, and it's funny because I was looking this week just through my week, going into my race on Saturday, and it's like, yeah, that's really close to 2 gram per kilo, right? Or 1 gram per pound, essentially.
Correct.
Which is essentially double what I used to
consume.
think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's when if you, I think you guys did say you had to listen to the episode I did with Professor Stu Phillips, and he makes a very clear point as a world renowned researcher in protein. The requirements of an endurance athlete are higher than those of a strength athlete. And he'll put that number at around 1.8 grams. Now we go a little bit higher. We go push up into the 2. Just, I think, allowing for overage is it's just, I think, the right approach, because I think most people probably overestimate how much protein they consume. And so I think if you push them a little bit higher, they end up actually hitting the amount they probably need. When you started doing that, what was the impact on your sort of day-to-day and your training?
Yeah, well, because I think the interesting thing was we really started using fueling with when we, right, David? I think when we kind of set up with the Unbound goal, but also what this brought is, yes, a different type of training, but also more training, which we found that we were recovering well. David, I think you can add to it, but I think the biggest change is that recovery component. Which I think makes sense.
Because when we started using Fuelin, it was the winter months here, so training was basically inside on Zwift or any other virtual platform. So workouts are shorter than what we do right now outside. So there were during the week an hour and a half from Tuesday to Friday. Then bigger rides on the weekends, but bigger rides are like 2 to 3 hours. No, not really more than 3 hours, which is not a long ride outdoors in the summertime. So the type of fueling we need for the context of training is very different from the winter months and the summer months. So that really helped us on to balance things out and for recoveries because
Yeah.
we're consuming a lot of calories and consuming a lot, and I don't think that in those winter months we were fueling in a balanced way. That helped balance it out. I was less hungry in the evenings, less hungry at night. That's the first thing I noticed right off the bat.
Yeah.
Started following the recommendations for protein, listen to the podcasts and some videos, and yeah, sure, it was from one day to another I felt less hungry.
How what's the age difference here between you and Yannick, David?
It's I'm twice his age,
There you
close
go.
to it. Yeah.
And in terms of, I
Yeah.
mean, Yannick, did you have issues with recovery in terms of delayed onset muscle soreness or, just tiredness in general? Did you see changes in that when you started to address your, say, protein intake? Or, I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it, whether it's the
Yeah.
protein intake or the total calories or a combination of, the protein, the fat,
Def
and the carbohydrates?
yeah. Definitely a slight change, I think, especially with my work outside of cycling.
Yep.
It is a work that's relatively, I'm on my feet. Not the most physical, but definitely um, adding that additional nutrition to was, I thought, overall less tiredness for sure, a little bit. But also, I think, which kind of goes into the second point, that to me, I think also the timing of the carbs too was a big change too. Um, but yeah, I think overall, protein wise, for sure, reduction of fatigue general. DOMS, I would say not necessarily.
Yep.
Um, but yeah,
It doesn't always have an impact. What about you, Dave?
yeah.
You're in sort of my age category. We're a little bit older than Yannick. Did you find that it had an impact on any particular elements of your recovery?
I think it balanced things out. I was less in a up or down cycle, more of a flat line
Yep.
with energy. So recuperations or days off were more beneficial than when I came back. I felt stronger and definitely felt stronger on the bike eating more protein. So that's
Yeah.
for
Okay.
sure. I saw a noticeable difference there in my endurance and the power I can generate in an endurance ride. Still
And
does
what?
today. Yeah, it was a big
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. And what about? I mean, obviously, you're talking about power output and feeling good in the sessions. Was there a marked difference in sort of your approach to carbohydrates?
So the carbohydrates I was eating prior to using Fuelin were more they were it was not wasn't structured as when to eat them. It was more throughout the day eating carbs. 50% of my plate was carbs. It was regular mathematics that I use in the summertime, so I was just going on that. And when I started using Fuelin, it was less carbs during the day. Focus them just right before training or during training, and for the rest, eat your fats, eat your protein. That's what you need to bounce back for tomorrow. The carbs you only need for your workout. Your workout is just an hour and a half, and so use them for that. The rest you don't need, and yeah, that was for the winter months was more like that. Yeah.
Were you trying to drop weight during that period of time as
Yeah,
well?
at the start I was trying to drop a few kilos. I was
Yeah.
like at 63, 62, 63 kilos, trying to get in the 50s, 58 kilos for the summertime.
Yeah, and that makes sense with what you're saying. So I think just to clarify for everyone listening, we're not carb phobic. We don't tell
No.
athletes that they don't need carbohydrates.
Not at all, no.
What David's probably referring to is he was probably seeing what we call a lot of red meals around later in the day, where that would be a focus on, say, fibrous vegetables, which still
Sure,
contain some carbohydrates, but they're lower density in carbohydrates, and so his amount of carbohydrates would have dropped in line with a caloric deficit in order to get him to drop weight.
Mhm.
But he still would have been eating carbohydrates throughout. It just, as he said, a lot of the focus would have been ensuring that the sessions were fueled specifically beforehand, and if required, if the duration was enough, then fueled
That's right.
during those sessions. Which,
Mhm.
yeah, it's always an interesting learning experience, that, isn't it? When you, I think, just as endurance athletes, there is this, again, information, carbs, carbs, carbs. But again, depending on what your focus is, and in your case, David, you were trying to lose some weight, we have to take into account calories.
Yeah.
Like, it just still blows my mind that people will say, well, no, calories don't count. It's like, well, what do you mean they don't count? Of course they count. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. And
That's
for
it.
some people, that just seems like, no, that's not correct. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
it's physics. So, yeah. And what about you, Yannick? Were you trying to achieve, like, say, a reduction in body weight, or were you quite happy and stable in your approach at that point in time?
yeah, it's interesting. Like, because I think the app is or used to be in a loss, but now definitely more maintained. Um, never, but the interesting thing is that like I love to eat. That's a big thing. But interestingly, the last few months, my weight has been better in control, if I can say. So yeah, like never an in kind of like yeah, like a bit to lose a few pounds, but always within that kind of very healthy range. Um, but never kind of rushing it, if that makes sense. Always, which that's where the app helped. But more that maintenance more than loss, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's always an interesting conversation around weight loss. I think there seems to be
Hmm.
some stigma around it when athletes do want to try and do it. I think what we're trying to do is do it in a way that is sustainable and manageable for the
Hmm.
athlete. And it's not like a crash course. I mean, David, in your experience, when you were trying to lose that weight, was there times, I mean, and it does happen, energy can be, obviously you're eating less. Did you find you struggled with training even during that period of time?
Never. Everything was balanced out.
Hmm.
Never
Yeah.
struggled in any training.
Yeah,
No.
I think that's where, look. I think meal timing. Look, if we're talking about overarching sort of principles, total calories for the day is going to
Mhm.
be the top priority, and then we start looking at macronutrient breakdown or percentage split of protein, fat, and carbs. But I think for endurance athletes, that meal timing can be so powerful, especially if you're trying to lose some weight where, yes, okay, you're in a calorie deficit for the day, but taking in some carbs before or during the session just to offset that potential lull in energy, it can be so powerful. And it doesn't require a lot. You can, take in smaller amounts of carbs, maybe 30, 60 grams, and
Mhm.
still perform as your coach or yourself have set out in that session, despite being in that calorie deficit and controlling that throughout the rest of the day. So, yeah, it's always I do find it fascinating talking to athletes about their sort of experience with that weight drop or that
Mhm.
improvement in body composition in a structured manner. So
Mhm.
it's always nice to hear that it wasn't a punish, and you
No,
didn't struggle through it. So no, it's good.
absolutely not. And our reality is really that there are two seasons in our training. It's really the indoor season and the outdoor season. And what we've learned is that we nutrition wise, we can't treat them the same way. Um, what I'm eating now, because we're riding outside, planning races, road races, gravel events, planning everything around that, and our training sessions outside are easily 3, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Um, so we can't use the same plan for indoors and outdoors, and we're still balanced out. what we're eating is at the end of every day, I'm like, okay, I ate everything I was supposed to, balanced everything. I'm not hungry. I'm not that hungry. It's fine. Tomorrow I'll be okay. And we can go on and on. So using Fuelin for Unbound and after Unbound, so when we came back to refuel, I did a race 1 week afterwards, 150 kilometers, had no problems, finished fifth, and just rode that race. And that was it.
So good. I love hearing that when it's like, no, I was fine. A few days later, you've done whatever, 320 Ks. And a week
That's it.
later, you're back on the bike doing 150. It's very refreshing to hear that
Yeah.
recovery period can be so, it can be so advanced and you can shorten
Sure.
it down
Yeah.
and still perform at your best.
Mhm.
I do want to touch on, you sent an email to myself and the team at Fuel In about your experience at Unbound Gravel. And I just want to take a moment just to read it, if that's all right with you guys. Yeah. So this is coming from David and Yannick. So they said, Unbound Gravel 2025 wasn't just a finish line, it was a powerful reminder of what trust, preparation, and shared purpose can accomplish. Our goal was to finish strong, and we crossed the line with a riding time of 12 hours and 3 minutes, total time of 12 hours and 34 minutes, placing 195th and 196th overall. I came in 27th in the 50 to 54 category, Yannick 26th in the 20 to 29-year-old category. At mile 130, during a tough eye treatment stop, Yannick looked over and said, "We're not just finishing, we're proving something today." That moment carried us to the end. And all along, your support was right there with us in the fueling plan that kept us balanced, consistent, and confident across 200 miles of grit. Our nutrition leading up to the race, and especially in the final days before it, was spot on. It made a huge difference in how we felt and performed. Even more impressive, our post event recovery has been smooth and fast. Thanks again to how well Fuel In helped us manage our intake and needs during and after the effort. It turned what's usually a brutal aftermath into a manageable bounce back. You helped make this possible. Thank you for being part of this finish line. Everyone we've introduced to the Fuelin app has shared the same sentiment. It works and it changes how they approach performance. It's been a privilege to represent that kind of innovation. Um, to be honest, it's you receive emails like that, and it's pretty special. And I think it really hits home why we're doing what we're doing. And I get a lot. I still get tingles down my spine when I read that email out loud, um, knowing that we've had such a powerful impact on you both in terms of race, but also just day to day performance. So I know the team is all extremely proud to be part of your team and associated with you both in what you're doing and how you're proving that nothing is impossible. What would you like to say? Do you have anything else to add to that?
I think the first thing is that we're very grateful for the
Hmm.
support that you've given us throughout the last months. Um, it works. I think the thing that's so impressive is that the fact that there's day to day support with the app, and anytime we need, we can talk to you guys and we make adjustments. We just tailor everything um, to what we're doing is um, is the best of both worlds. So, and that kind of support, and add to that that's technology and that's knowledge on one side of the plate, if I can say. On the other side of the plate, there's you, Scott, and there's everybody on the Fuelin team that's there to support, and you do it in such a good way and an easy way that it makes everything possible and easy for us to as athletes to do on a day-to-day basis, to react on special occasions like races or like Unbound, how we treated carb load while we were on flights to go to Kansas. So all that support mixed with knowledge and technology, I think that's what makes um, makes it so special and what makes it so important for us right now.
No, I
It,
appreciate
it's
that, and I will give also a special shout out to one of our coaches, Megan Foley, because
sure.
I know
Oh yeah,
Megan's been instrumental in
For
helping
sure.
both of
Yeah.
you as well and updating plans and
yeah.
assisting
Thank,
questions
for sure.
through the chat. So I think
Hmm.
Megan, massive shout out. Thank you so much for being an integral part of making this happen.
Yeah.
Yannick, from you.
I think what I'll add to it is that, like, to me, the thing I've been, and it's not like a selling, it's not an ad, but like the thing I've been the most impressed by is just how, since we've started to use it, how like the growth of the team and the app has been like. When there's a little hiccup, when there's right like when we need to change a thing, like it's always pretty much instant, like it's there. And yeah, like that's something that we appreciate, right? Like if there's a little kind of problem, if we can say, it's fixed by the next day, it's fixed within a couple of days, right? And that's what I find very impressive, in terms of what David was saying, like in the technology, right? Like I'm sure it's not easy, but from our end, I've been quite impressed how quick you guys are on kind of, we'll use the word fixing things. But that goes,
The development
yeah,
team does a
the
great job.
development. I've been really impressed by that part of it, which makes for us to use it every day it's more enjoyable. Week after week, it's just great to use. Um, and with that, yeah,
No, I appreciate that, and I think David might have sent me. We obviously released the new app in I think March, and we've had some
yeah,
technological sort of issues with that, and I think everyone who uses the app will acknowledge that. I'll hold my hand up and say, there were times where it was extremely frustrating, but
for
and I think
sure.
David sent me a message. He goes, "Oh, I won't use the exact language, but he was a bit miffed or a bit pissed off, to be honest, at some of the negative comments coming through." And it's like,
No, it's true.
look, everyone loves to complain these days, and I think
Yeah.
what was refreshing to read David's note was like, guys, this you just need to put in a little bit of effort, have a little bit of patience. Everyone's trying to do a great job, and
Yeah,
I think everyone is trying to do the best job they can, and I think
exactly.
unfortunately. You know what it's like. People love to have a gripe. So, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's like any training plan, any competition, any race. There's bound to be something in the development or on the
some hiccup
ongoing
in
process,
oh
the
yeah,
road. Yeah,
adjustments to be made all the time. And,
yeah,
at the
good.
end of the day, everything works great. We're performing like we want to in our sports, and the app is supporting us, but 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 the team is supporting us. The humane side is really there and supporting us as well, which is far more important that of any technology. I think technology is accompanying all the knowledge and the humane side of Fuelin, not the other way around.
I appreciate that. You talk about hiccups though. Was there anything that and everyone always needs a plan B, and hopefully through
yeah.
practicing your nutrition endlessly in training, which is obviously a big focus of what we do. Was there any hiccups in the race in Unbound where you were like, "Oh, we got to switch to plan B," or did everything go pretty straightforward?
No hiccups at all. Everything
The
That's good to hear.
It
according.
went oddly well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So so
it
It's
went
yeah,
too
always, it's
well.
always a little scary when it does that, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's always like, whoa, that actually
yeah,
went exactly according to plan.
yeah.
It doesn't always happen,
exactly.
let me tell you.
I, I don't think that less than half of the people who start Unbound 200 finish.
Hmm.
Um,
Less than half.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
And you guys
flats.
came. What did we say? You came in.
190.
Well, 195th, 196th overall out of 5,000 athletes.
Of all
Well,
of now 200, so about 2,000 for that category. So
okay,
we came in top 10%.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, visually impaired, and you're still in top 10%. So I think
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
your
and
point,
I
you
yeah,
accomplished it, didn't you?
yeah. And
Yes.
that goes again, that isn't that attests to the preparation that went into it, right? From the nutrition part with you guys, but also the bike stuff, the all the little pieces that we thought for weeks on end.
Yeah.
But I think, right, when again, to the team between me and David, it's the weeks that went into it, but
Mhm.
that brought a result that was
Yeah.
kind of mind blowing in the way that it went very smoothly. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think
yeah,
you nailed it. You nailed it there, though, Yannick. And like,
hmm
this is what we always say is like, it's, nutrition's part of it. It's not the whole thing. It's a piece of the
no,
puzzle. The training you did through Training Peaks, like on tracking that and being consistent and understanding what your load was, plays a crucial role.
Yeah.
All the little planning bits from the flights to, talking through how you were managing everything, that's all part of it.
Mhm.
And I think it's only when you get all those pieces of the puzzle together that's when you have a result like you did today or in the
And
race.
fueling before the race, the carb load, fueling after for refueling, but fueling during the race was also something we planned a lot on our side. And during the winter trainings, we logged a lot of our fueling in the app. So
Yep.
all the estimated carbs per hour were on point for the race. So we worked with Never Second on fueling during the race, and we hit our targets. Our target was 120 grams an hour. That's what we hit for the whole race. So using 75% were in fluids, 25% were in gels. Not so bars. I think we ate like 2 bars each during the race,
couple
um,
bars.
something like that. But gels and liquids were our main focus on during Unbound because that was a big part, not to have big spikes or just basically bonk during the race.
Yeah, and I mean 12 hours, I mean it's 12 hours of fluids and gels isn't always easy.
It's
For a lot of people, they don't want to
It's definitely
continue
not
doing
easy.
that. It's not easy, is
Yeah.
it? Like that's the reality. But you managed it. You said you used Never Second. You used their unflavored. Because I remember talking to you about this. We discussing I always find Never Second a little bit too sweet for me
Mhm.
personally. But you were saying you used their unflavored version.
We mixed up uh, flavors. So from berry to passion fruit to unflavored to caffeinated in the morning. When we started the race at 6:30, we used caffeinated gels. Not so much during the day. Fluids were we had some unflavored in our water bottles, and our hydration packs were flavor in it. So we mixed it up. That's important. And
Yep.
just to comment on what you said, it's hard to do 120 grams per hour. I remember at the end of the race, we were like, Yannick was like, "Okay, David, we need to take in a gel. It's going to be hard, but we need to take in a gel." And we were like, you know,
Yeah, the last 40 miles I was doing half gels but right, that's where I think Scott is going. It wasn't easy, but
no, we
it
still
was
had to do it.
manageable,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where the liquid nutrition went into play. A lot
Yeah.
more liquid, which is easier to manage for
yeah.
And
sure.
was that through you had Camelback's pack systems
Yeah.
on your back
Mhm.
just to stay safe, so you weren't taking your
hmm
hands off the handlebars, and
Yeah.
so and how did that work in terms of the race? You had options to pick up other uh, backpacks, or you just had sachets of the nutrition, stopped, refilled, and then continued. Is that how it works?
So there are two. During Unbound, there are actually four stations where you can fill up. Two are just water stations to fill up, and two are full, let's say full service or um, full stops to refuel everything. At the water stops, we didn't really stop for water. I had to stop for eye treatment, so we did manage that at those stops. And during the feed zones, then we stopped. We had everything prepared, so all our liquids to fill up our hydration packs, water bottles, gels. Everything was there and prepared. We had a team that were waiting for us, so we stopped. They handled our bikes if we needed something to be fixed while they were filling up the camelbacks and the water bottles and tending to anything else that we needed. They were It was 36 degrees, so they were shoving socks with ice down our jerseys. And yeah, so those two stops were mainly handled by a team there, that were
And
there.
yeah, our bottles were pre-mixed. We had a which kind of again it landed perfectly. We both had a 2 liter backpack, so we had pre-mixed. We did the math. We had pre-mixed gallon of water with the right, knowing that per 500 mils it's going to be what 90 grams, I think, and we put like I think a whole bag of powder in a gallon, and then the perfect thing two both of our packs that were 2 liter were more or less 1 gallon. So that's where yeah, it was prepared to the milliliter, right? That gallon was perfect for mine and David's pack.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was all premixed.
Yeah, and I mean, it's that attention to detail, isn't it? And the practicing of that gave you, I guess, the confidence that it was all going to go well, and in the end, it did.
yeah.
So that's good. It's
At,
great, and
at the second feed zone, it was so hot. I was so thirsty, and grab the Coca Cola, cold Coca Cola,
it's the
always does
best.
the trick at some point. and
The black doctor. It comes to it definitely makes a difference. Doesn't matter what race you're doing. It
yeah,
certainly, for some mystical reason, it certainly
mhm.
hits the spot. So
Yeah, we wanted to be efficient at those stops, so we stopped for a total of 30 minutes during those 12 hours and a half.
yeah,
So that counts all the stops for my eye treatment, all the feed zones, all the nature breaks, all the yeah. So we were quite efficient at those feed zones. Mhm.
yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, you obviously smashed this as an ambition and as a goal. What's next on the calendar? Are you racing together, Yannick? I think you said you've got nationals this weekend.
Yeah,
What have you guys got racing individually, but also together?
yeah. So for my side, kind of short term, it's Canadian Road Nationals in 2 days. After that, I definitely need a bit of a break from the Unbound, kind of stretched out the legs from there because Unbound was only what 4 weeks away, 4 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So it's still pretty fresh. So yeah, after this, I think we'll chat on what's next a bit more kind of specifically, but for sure some gravel races on for me, and then David, I think he's got some
Yeah.
gravel things.
What have you got coming up,
There's
David?
two gravel events later on in the summer, that we're doing together. So yeah, les Saint Besset and Gravel du Parc, it's called. So it's 100 and something, close to 120 to 150 kilometers each race. So we're doing those together. Yannick is doing Big Red, which is a big gravel event in Eastern Canada. I'm not doing it; it's too technical for me. Um, I can follow, but there to some degree. I don't have that much experience in gravel racing, So yeah, you need to walk before you run. So Yannick's gonna do that one. I have some road events. I actually had a race last weekend.
And I think you're aiming for the UCI Grand Fondo, is that right? In Japan?
Yeah. So our plan right now is to qualify for the UCI Grand Fondo World Championships in Japan in 2026. There's a qualifying race in Guadeloupe in December. So we're aiming to both qualify for that. Yeah. And maybe something's coming up for next year. We've been talking about it. So
We'll
we'll
keep that
see.
one
Secret,
under wraps at the moment.
Yeah,
secret
don't want
still,
to
yeah.
jinx it. We don't want to jinx it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, awesome. Well, look, guys, it's been awesome to catch up with you and for you guys to have the opportunity to talk about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. Before we sign off, is there anything you want to say or just any parting words before we finish the episode?
I think a big thank you to you guys for all
Yeah.
the support. That's the
Big thank you for everything, for sure.
and we love your caps. They're really
Oh yeah, we got to get a few of these to you guys, don't we? So
yeah.
we'll get them to you. Don't worry. I think we're getting I've started sporting it a little bit on Fuelin Sessions and around social
Very
media.
nice.
So I think we're getting a little bit of interest for it. So it's got under the brim. It's got fuel your purpose.
Oh
So
yeah.
I was always wondering what was written under that. I
wow.
always meant to ask you, Scott, because I saw there's writing, but what's
Yeah.
written under that?
It'd be cool
Awesome.
if you could personalize it and put your own
Fuel for
message under there.
purpose.
Maybe we'll do that for the future.
Well,
We'll
a great
talk
phrase
to
too.
we'll talk to Fractal and see if you can do personalized messaging or something. But
For sure.
no, they're great hats. We're really happy with them. But look, guys, as much as you're saying thank you to myself and the team, we would like to say thank you for giving us a go and reaching out and using the product and having such great success. It's you're one of many, but we love to hear the stories, and I think for the community out there, hearing it from you and how you are making a change, I think it's extremely powerful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. We'll chat to you later.